What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. This is the mailbag for September 2017. We're going to be answering the questions that you guys submitted for this mailbag, and the two people that are going to be answering these questions today, well, I'm your host as always, Tony Mango, and joining me is Callum Wiggins.
Mail's here.
Get your mailbag.
Oh, it's a really full mailbag today.
We do have, God knows how many questions we have here. I didn't take
I
too
feel,
many of them off there, but maybe I should have.
I know. I feel sorry for our postman right now.
Yeah, well, you gotta earn your money. So lugging
His,
it around,
his back must be killing him.
whether rain or sleet or snow, or
Mm.
many questions. I think that's how the phrase goes.
Yeah, pretty accurate.
So let's start getting into Silent of Doom's questions. Got them in just under the wire, I think like last night or so. First ones first. What fictional characters and celebrities have you had the hots for? One of each. First off, a question back to Silent of Doom. Fictional characters and celebrities. Are we talking fictional celebrities?
Is that just like a reality TV star or something like that? They're not really celebrities, but
Maybe. And in that case, tons of people from Big Brother. But we'll get to a lot of Big Brother stuff later on. Celebrities to say that you have at the hots for, there are way too many. Way too many. I literally have a list because I was going to do a big article for Fanboys one time of like the top 100 celebrities. And I ended up making this giant list. And by the time I got done making the list, or well, I assumed done because I got to a point where I was just like, how many more fucking celebrities are there out there? I decided not to write the article anymore. And then I was like, you know what? I did all this work that I'm just going to keep this list and I'm going to keep adding people to it. So that was at least 2 or 3 years ago that I made that list up. And every once in a while I'll come across like a really hot celebrity and I'll just add them to the list. But now it's to the point where I literally couldn't name everybody on there unless I wanted this podcast to just go for fucking ever. But I will say that I wrote up a top 18 or so somewhat recently of like you go like, oh, my top 5 celebrities I'd want to bang kind of a thing.
yeah, those are like the ones that you can get away with sleeping with outside of your relationship type thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I wouldn't get away with it, but
No.
because none of these celebrities would want to. But at least as far as whatever I made this list up, which was, I don't know, a couple months ago or so, and this is in no particular order, except for number 1, Kate Beckinsale, because Kate Beckinsale is just like, my God.
Nice choice.
Elizabeth Hurley is another one on the list, and she's just looks exactly the same as she's been looking for the past 20 years, so I guess she's going to be like that forever. Allison Brie, Anna Kendrick, Anne Hathaway, Alexandra Daddario, Chloe Bennett from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Emma Stone, Emma Watson, Maisie Richardson Sellers, who probably nobody knows, but she's that really good-looking girl from The Force Awakens that only pops up in one scene and gets killed. And if you watch the show Legends of Tomorrow, she was Vixen on there. Margot Robbie, Mila Kunis, Jane Levy, actually, I think is getting really like better and better looking as time goes on. Sarah Shahi, Scarlett Johansson, of course, Summer Glau, Sophia Bush, Trisha Helfer, and even though I hate to admit it, the more and more I see of her, I gotta kind of add Taylor Swift to that list, although I never really thought she was really one of the best looking ones. And there's so many fucking, I mean, I could name a million celebrities, but Alice Eve, and I'm looking at the list right now, and just I can scroll up and down. Camila Bell, Erin Richards. I don't remember who she is, but apparently she's good looking. Eliza Schlesinger, Jessica Biel. Like, you could just go on and on and on. But fictional characters, I would say check out the Fanboys Anonymous TV Crushes post that I do every year, because I try to make that more about the characters than about the celebrities. But I'm not going to do that for another couple of weeks or so, because not many shows have returned. So stay tuned for that one. But Callan, what about you? What are some fictional characters and some celebrities that are on your to bang list?
Well, I've always been like 90s kids, so someone like Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
Very good.
Who's the Pink Power Ranger? What's her real
Amy
name?
Jo Johnson.
Yeah,
2 names that are on that list.
yeah, yeah. They're always like they pretty like fall in my mind. People like Salma Hayek, Christina Hendricks,
Hendrix, I
that
don't have on my list. Hi, I could do.
Penelope Cruz,
Yep.
Nicole Kidman, like probably more like classic Nicole Kidman.
Like Eyes Wide Shut, Nicole Kidman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, there's so many that I could just like list off the top of my head. Like old school Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore. I thought was very attractive.
Never liked her.
Never liked Drew Barrymore.
Nah. Always thought that she was overrated. But
I mean,
I mean, I'm not.
I think she's more of an acquired taste.
Yeah.
In terms of like fictional characters, I mean, I didn't know how to read into the fictional characters. I thought, is that like just people from live action TV shows? Because in which case, I'm attracted to the actors. I'm not attracted to the character itself, almost.
Yeah, that's what's tough, and that's why I tend to do when I do the TV crush thing on Fanboys. I tend to try to make it a lot more about like, well, of course the actress is good looking, but let's try to figure out like the personality wise, because somebody like say, oh God, what's the actress's name? Kaylee Cuoco from Big Bang Theory. Her character Penny. Kaylee Cuoco is hot, but I hate her character. I would never want to date her. So
Yeah,
she gets taken off the TV crushes list because it's like, well, I'd be around her for a little bit and I would just find her too obnoxious. And then you get a character like Iris West from The Flash, and it's like Candace Patton, gorgeous character from The Flash. Well, she's supportive, she's nice, she's smart, so she gets a big old thumbs up, amongst other things.
yeah. I'm trying to think of like any like major fictional characters that stand out. Like at the moment, like Penny from Big Bang Theory, and even Melissa Bernadette as well. Like, I
Melissa
watch a lot.
Rauch.
Yeah, I watch a lot of Big Bang Theory, so they stand out.
Poor Amy.
Cat, yeah, she's the smart one, so she knows better not to deal with me. Kat Dennings, character from Two Broke Girls, like it's literally the only reason to watch Two Broke Girls.
That got cancelled, didn't it?
I have no idea. I stopped watching it a couple of like years ago.
I stopped after the first season. I couldn't take it anymore.
You were smarter than me.
I actually like the blonde girl better than Kat Dennings on there. I mean, I didn't like either of the characters. That's why I stopped watching it. But as
yeah,
far
they're
as
both
like,
really annoying.
picking like an actress to say which one's the better looking one, Beth Bears, I think her name was. I think she actually made it to one of my TV crushes list. Actually, now that I'm thinking about that, let me go look that up because I don't know who I've had over the past couple of years. I know that Agents of Shield's had more than a few because they're just like ridiculously attractive there. Who did I have last time around? All right, let's see. TV crushes from 2016. I had Chloe Bennett from Agents of Shield, Gemma Simmons from Agents of Shield, Ella Lopez from Lucifer, Amy Garcia's character, Charlotte Richards from Lucifer, that was Trisha Helfer, Maisie Richardson Sellers, Iris West. You don't watch Lethal Weapon by any chance, do you?
No, I haven't seen it.
2 characters from that show. Jordana Brewster's character is a psychiatrist or therapist, or I don't know her classification, but Jordana Brewster is really good looking. So, and actually, Trish Murtaugh, who is Wayans' wife in it, she's hot.
I'll take your word for it. There's like Scandal, that TV show. I can't remember the real actress' name, that Olivia in it. The one who's I can't remember the name of the actress off the top of my head, but like she's very good looking.
Scandal. Let me see.
Yeah.
Scandal TV show. That's why am I not coming across anything about? Oh, Kerry Washington. Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's on the list.
I feel like I could literally name almost any woman and she'd be on the list at this point.
Well, I mean, it's been a couple of years in the making, so it's like anytime I'll come across a random actress that, or I don't have too many like musicians and stuff on the list because I don't pay much attention. It's mostly actresses, but yeah, I mean, you throw a random person on a TV series or something that I watch, and then I'll be like, yeah, I'll add them to the list. Eventually, I'll make this article up, and it'll be worth it. You know. Now,
Yeah,
Soundwave of Doom has to tell us what fictional celebrities he likes.
yeah, and let us know what he was thinking about when he was writing that question. Like saying when he was writing fictional characters, he was thinking more like cartoons or something like that instead.
If that's the case, then none, because I don't do anything when it comes to cartoons.
Yeah. In which case, save that till next mailbag, so we just can't, so we avoid answering it.
His second question is: if you opened a wrestling federation, what would it be called? Would you run it like a figurehead? Would you run it with a figurehead like '80s Vince, or as a character like Mr. McMahon's years? And if you had to hire a figurehead to be the face commissioner of your company, who would you pick? So, at least as far as the wrestling federation name, I always thought Apex Pro Wrestling was really good, even before Randy Orton started calling himself the Apex Predator. I have no idea if that's already taken or not, but that's what I would go with. And I'll do you one more. Eventually, I will somewhere down the line, publish as like a fan fiction type of thing. I already did a list before of the breakdown of how I would do pay-per-views for my own wrestling federation, down to names of like gimmicks and stuff. Like the main one I can throw out there without like spoiling too much is like my Money in the Bank would be the King's Ransom, and it would be like a whole big thing like that or whatever. But nobody steal that in the future. I'd go with I'd be the head and I'd be the baby face, but I would slowly transition to be an asshole because I just know that I would eventually be the asshole. And as far as a face commissioner, if I had to hire somebody for the role, probably somebody like Matt Stryker. I think that he'd be a good person for that job. What about you? What's your wrestling fed?
I try and keep it close to home, so I probably go with something just very simple, like the classic British wrestling or the British Wrestling Classic or something along those lines. Maybe try and make it sound as close to the BBC as I can, because then I might get a few more hits like that. So probably like BWC or something. In terms of a commissioner, I would have to go with William Regal. I just think he's one of the best authority figures on TV right now. In terms of like just someone who just does his job and doesn't get too heavily involved, and when he does get involved, it's a big deal. So I'd have him in charge of the organization, and I wouldn't have him as like I'd run it from behind the scenes. I wouldn't get involved in any aspect of it because let's face it, no one want to see me making matches and getting in the heels' faces or whatever. I don't think I pose too much of a threat to anybody.
Well, I could be the character then. It could be the guy who's behind the scenes. It's just kind of like, okay, well, no.
No, I'd always like if I was owning a wrestling federation, I'd always try and be like an extra in like a few little scenes. Like if there's a skirmish happening backstage, I'd just be one of the people pulling them away, but no one have any idea that I was. Where did this guy come from? Why is this?
The dude sitting on one of the storage containers when they're walking backstage.
Yeah, like every single scene, I'm somewhere, but you just don't know where.
Yeah, pulling a Hitchcock.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm one of the cameramen during a match and something like that as well. So I'm just like all over the place.
Third question: if you were a wrestler and could pick any wrestler from the history of the sport within reason, who would be your manager, valet, or bodyguard? Why don't you go first on this one?
Do you have to pick a wrestler, or you can't pick like an actual manager?
Anybody.
Well, if I had to pick anyone to be like a manager, I'd choose Bobby Heenan. Because it's just so easy to you could do anything. You could be absolutely terrible. You can say like a word properly, and he would be able to carry you throughout all this stuff. And to be fair, he used to take a lot of punishment when he was manager as well. So you could avoid that as well.
Yeah, he could be the sycophant that boosts you up and takes the shot for you.
Yeah, in terms of like an actual, if you were to choose a wrestler to become a manager, I'd probably go with someone like I actually quite like Titus O'Neil as a manager. He's actually like revamped himself. I used to think he was like one of the most pointless members of the roster, but now, even though the Titus brand isn't really worth anything, it's still mildly entertaining to see him come out with Apollo Crews every now and again.
Yeah, he's done surprisingly well with that.
Yeah, it's giving him a shot in the arm in his career, and it's actually probably set him up as almost a career for life type thing for WWE, as opposed to just leaving when he gets too old.
Which is like next year.
Yeah, he's pretty old. I mean, he was pretty old when he joined WWE, let alone like now.
If I'd have to pick like a valet specifically, I think I'd just go with Sunny. Just I mean, we're talking like old school Sunny, not now, but I'd have to go with Sunny because she was hot. It was like,
I mean, you probably have a better shot now. You probably have a better shot of like convincing her now.
Yeah, pass.
if it was a valet, I'd go with Lana. Lana was quite like when she was like originally with Rusev, she was very like in control, and she was like a mastermind as opposed to just like eye candy. Even though she was very good at that as well.
Oh, you know what I miss with Lana? I miss that outfit that she used to wear, where it was like the weird like cut off jacket kind of thing.
Yeah, I miss it when she didn't wrestle. That was good. That was a lot better than it is right now.
For a while.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it for the time being. But that means I have to see Tamina wrestle, and that's hardly an improvement. So,
she'll get built up for a match with Charlotte at like Clash of Champions or something. I think it pushed aside. Well, Charlotte will win and we'll get into this next week. Charlotte will win the title from Natalya. Then we got Paige and Tamina. Then we got whatever's happening at WrestleMania. But we'll see.
Don't spoil it too early.
I'll spoil it years in advance if I need to. And in WrestleMania 38, we're going to get Roman Reigns in the main event. There you go. Spoiler alert. Sorry, getting into Peter's questions here. Do you think that we will ever see the real Seymour Skinner again? Remember, Principal Skinner's real name is Armin Tamzarian. What do you think about that whole thing episode? I don't think we will. But I haven't watched Simpsons in a couple seasons. So I don't know if they've ever like referenced it again or something, but I don't think that they think that it was a good idea in retrospect, and I would agree. I didn't like that whole twist.
No, that episode sucked. It was like it's coming into the point where they were clutching at straws for stories. And even though the idea in principle sounds a little bit interesting, I think it was the guy that was playing Principal Skinner just wasn't in any way interesting. And I think they've only referenced it like once. Like Bart has just occasionally said, to like Principal Skinner, just say, "Right, Armin," and he just says, "Carry on." I think
that was when they killed off Snowball.
Oh yeah,
which was another mistake, I think. And then Lisa was like, "We'll just pretend like this never happened." And then he's like, "Wasn't that kind of a cheat or something?" She's like, "What do you think, Armin?" Whatever.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, okay. It's like. That to me is so confusing because it's like, well, then you're acknowledging that you did this before and it was a mistake. Why are you doing it again? Like, you'd think if somebody brought up that joke during the episode's planning, they would have been like, oh, fuck, yeah, that's exactly what we're doing with Snowball here. Like, it's dumb. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I think they try and like palm it off as like, oh, we're so inside our own stories and we're so knowledgeable about it that we can make jokes about how bad we are.
Yeah. Meanwhile, everybody else is thinking, yeah, but you're still bad.
Yeah, it's very much like WWE in that respect.
Yeah, it's true. They're like, you see, we referenced the fact that Vince McMahon had a kid, kind of, and then it's like, turn around the next thing, and then it's like, Kurt Angle's got a kid, and you're like, fuck, come on.
Yeah, it reminds me of like the Roman Reigns John Cena shoot promo. It's like, yeah, see, we know that you think that Roman sucks, and we're going to tell you that, and we're not going to change anything about it.
Yep. God damn it, WWE. Did Gail Kim piss off WWE because Enzo was using her finisher Eat Defeat? Do you like the Eddie Guerrero cheat to win style from Enzo? Nah, I don't think that Gail Kim's pissed off WWE any more than she's pissed him off in the past. The whole using the finisher thing, I think, is just because Enzo doesn't have a finisher and he needed one.
Yeah. And it's a simple enough move to do. To be fair, the first time he used it, he fucked it up anyway. So, like, so it's a simple enough move to use. In terms of the cheat to win style, it's better now that he's seems to be turning heel. I think it was a good way of transitioning him to that, to get too cocky and over the top by winning the Cruiserweight Championship by essentially not wrestling. Before that, it was annoying, but I guess that was the point, so I've got to give him props for that.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of don't. Uh, Enzo as like a heel is interesting to me. And if he cheats to win, then that's typical heel stuff. So it's not anything special. Him as a babyface cheating to win was a little bit interesting, but I also just like, I don't know. I've gotten kind of sick of Enzo for a while. This is before all these rumors too. Like when
Yeah,
they were still tagging up, I was kind of sick of Enzo.
yeah, his shtick could run a little bit thin.
Mm-hmm.
The
It was
difference with
the
Eddie,
same kind of thing every single week.
yeah, and the difference with Eddie Guerrero was beloved by the fans, even though he was doing this cheat to win gimmick because he was so good in the ring, and he was considered like wildly underrated even before he started doing that. So the fans were already behind him, and then he started doing that, and because he was so like charismatic, both outside and inside the ring, he could pull it off. Enzo's charismatic outside the ring, but inside the ring, he's just really bad.
Yeah.
So you can't really,
And you could
it's
get
too much
behind
disconnect.
Eddie as kind of like, well, he can win the match without cheating, but he's going to do it anyway just to do this kind
Exactly.
of a thing. And you can't really feel that way about Enzo, especially now that he is seemingly a heel, because now it seems like, oh, he has to cheat. You
Hmm.
know, it's weird that it's like it's almost turning Neville babyface.
It's turning basically every other cruiserweight babyface that decides to feud with him. They've made him like the I don't know how to describe it, like the pariah of the cruiserweight division. Like this is someone who just doesn't belong here, and so we're just all going to band together to get you out.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see where they go from here, because I'm assuming that Neville gets the next title shot anyway, even though they did the whole thing with the contract, because everybody attacked him, so you can't have nobody challenge for the title. But then it's like, well, then do they do a heel against him, or then do they do a baby face? It'll be pretty interesting to see, but
You move Braun Strowman to the cruiserweight division.
oh my god, I would love it so much. Just have him beat everybody in one shot,
Hmm.
take the title, wipe his ass with it, like, you know.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that at this point.
I mean, I like the cruiserweight division and I like 205 Live and stuff, but it's like Braun Strowman he needs a belt. I don't care what belt it is, even the fucking women's title for all I care. That'd be great to see that too. He just beats
Yeah,
everybody for every title.
yeah, I just want to see that.
Let's see. Another Enzo question. Do you think that Enzo was sent to 205 Live to kill the cruiserweights like Hornswoggle did before? And do you think that WWE should just get rid of the cruiserweight division? They kind of just touched upon that. No, I think that the cruiserweight division is something that they don't necessarily need. But if they've got that extra time slot and it allowed them to bring a couple more people into the mix and stuff, and it's something else to watch. So if people like normal just wrestling, then they should watch 205 Live. And Enzo was sent there definitely not to kill it. He was sent there to try to bring in a little bit of life to it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think even though at first I was concerned with Enzo joining the cruiserweight division, especially with how terrible his match qualities was, he's actually revamped the cruiserweight division, and now with him as a almost like a champion that an actual genuine heel champion, someone that you actually hate because he's so bad and yet he's still got the belt. It's actually added a lot more attention and focus back into the cruiserweight, so he's done his job effectively. I still believe, I think I've said it before, but I think 205 Live should be a network exclusive. I just don't like the crossover between Raw. I think it's quite pointless. And anyone that's like really good on the cruiserweight division or is showing a lot more character should be appearing on NXT, or maybe should just jump over to the main roster instead.
Yeah, there's a couple people that whenever they decide to get rid of this 205 Live show, and if they want to like just merge the cruiserweight division and have people cross over between the normal shows and stuff, which I don't know if they're going to necessarily do in the future because they have the brand split and stuff now, but that's another whole story. But if they do decide to do that in the future, I'd see a lot of these people transitioning pretty well. Not all of them, but like we know that Brian Kendrick was totally fine as a mid-carder before,
Yeah.
so he's good. TJP could definitely survive as a mid-carder. You could get like Lindsay Dorado and Graham Metalik, and they could be a tag team.
Yeah, someone like Rich Swann, I think, would do well in there. He's got a lot of character. Jack Gallagher's probably quite safe as well.
I could see somebody like Swan becoming a jobber, though.
Oh, he probably would, but I always thought that he should be in a tag team with No Way Jose, because they did that for a little while, and I thought it was a really good tag team. Yeah, I thought it was a really good tag team. And yeah, it just had to go away because they decided the cruiserweights can only fight the cruiserweights type thing, and then just completely called them off.
Yeah, I actually like that tag team quite a bit. So I'd be cool with that. Especially because I think that by now, No Way Jose kind of needs to just go to the main roster. And
oh, he should definitely be on the main roster. He's just like an entertaining opening act.
Yeah. I don't know where I'd send him. Probably SmackDown, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think he'd fit more on SmackDown. He can be Dolph Ziggler's next feud. Just because that's what Dolph Ziggler does now. He just fights the next guy coming up from NXT.
That is. It seems like that's the case. We have another Enzo question. Peter with the Enzo questions here. Speaking of Enzo, I know Roman kicked him off the bus. Did Roman kick him out of the locker room? In theory, Roman has to let him back in, and I don't feel like this will be Miz changing outside after Chris's death and Undertaker saying you can come back in. That's the type of thing that like we don't know the ins and the outs, but I guess if he is kicked out of the locker room, anybody that's got high enough clout would be able to tell him to come back in, you know?
Yeah.
Like
yeah, I think that's...
Or even The Miz at this point.
Yeah, probably. I think there's a couple of locker room leaders from all accounts, what I'm saying, and apparently Roman Reigns is one of the main ones at this point in time. I think it won't be too long if he can, like, get his act together, that he'll be let back in. There's been like loads of cases of people being taken out, and in this like really weird culture, I just don't understand the locker room culture of WWE. Of like, there's these people that are figureheads, and they decide who comes in and who goes out. I mean, you're fake fighting with each other. Why do you have to prove yourself to like everyone?
I guess it's more of just like you have to start living with them as family almost.
I guess
since
so.
You're going to be around them so much, then it's eventually like, even though it has nothing to do with necessarily what you do in the ring, it could just be like, yo, this guy's fucking annoying. We don't want to be around him anymore, you know? Kind of like purposely sitting at a different table at a wedding because you don't want to be around other people that you know.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, especially with like Enzo's wardrobe. I mean, how is he getting changed like in the corridor with that wardrobe that he's got going on all the time?
Every time he does, he just runs into Lana and starts another feud with Rusev.
Oh, don't remind me of that stuff. I'm having flashbacks now.
This is a question, but I need to single out Tony since the Bar is teaming up. Cesaro has Sheamus. Wait, since the Bar teaming with Cesaro has Sheamus
don't analyze. Don't analyze his questions too much. Yeah,
I think I know what he's going at. Have I thought that Sheamus is more interesting now that he's teaming up with Cesaro? And then who do I hate more, Sheamus or Del Rio? Sheamus is a hell of a lot better now.
Yeah,
and there's no question Sheamus is 100% better than Del Rio. I still don't like Sheamus as much as WWE wants me to. And I still think that it's a travesty that he's so many times won so many things that he shouldn't have so early in his career. But he's stuck around and he's been more entertaining and he's been much less problematic. So Del Rio to me is, Sheamus isn't as much on my shit list anymore. He's just a guy now. Like Del Rio is still on my shit list. Like, if they announced that Del Rio was hired back to WWE, I would be pissed.
Yeah. I'm sure quite a lot of people would be pissed, quite a lot of both inside and outside of WWE.
And I wouldn't release Sheamus.
Oh, no. I've always liked Sheamus. I've always thought he's a solid hand in the ring. I do agree with you that he was pushed far too hard because he's Triple H's workout buddy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in this situation where he's in a tag team with Cesaro, who I also think is doing a lot better than he was before being in the tag team. So they
Minus
just
his
work.
teeth.
Sorry.
Minus his teeth. They're not doing better.
Yeah, they're two things missing now. Yeah, I do feel sorry for him, but like I'm pretty sure that would have like scored him quite a lot of points backstage for continuing the match after losing his teeth.
Yeah, he's let back in the locker room.
Yeah, but his teeth aren't anymore. So.
Yeah. Do you think that Stephanie McMahon's return was underwhelming to say the least? I don't know if I'd say underwhelming. I would just say like unnecessary.
Exactly, like every other Stephanie McMahon return. I will always be vocal in the fact that I don't like her as a character in the sense that she's an authority figure that never gets any comeuppance against her. When she does, it's like minimal and it's with people that don't need it. Like if she's doing it with Vicky Guerrero after Vicky Guerrero's leaving, so who actually benefits someone who's not going to be there the next week?
Mm-hmm. Then she beat Bray.
Yeah, I mean, she's very good. Like she's very good at attracting heat, and she's very good on the microphone. So I'm not going to deny the fact that she's an excellent performer, and she does her job. But it's the fact that people can't get one up on her is the issue that I have with her. So the less I see of her on TV at the moment, kind of the better.
I'm also curious just why she was on SmackDown if she is controlling Raw.
It was the Mae Young Classic thing, because obviously they're doing the Mae Young Classic after SmackDown. So she was there to present that. I think that's the logic that they're trying to use.
Okay, I'll buy that.
But it's more along the lines, I mean, in which case, why didn't Triple H come out? That's probably something else as well. So
yeah,
there are many different variables you can take which make you think that WWE don't actually know what they're doing, as strange as that sounds.
It's one of those things where it's just like they probably figure Stephanie coming out there makes more buzz, and like the logic doesn't need to follow it because who cares? People will just be talking about how Stephanie popped up, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like it is wrestling, it is dumb, so it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But at the same time, it's just sort of like, so now you're on the competitor's show, like a little bit strange.
Oh, speaking of which, do you see that Tom Phillips is going to be commentating on Raw?
He is?
Yeah, Michael Cole's going to be missing Raw because he's attending his son's wedding. So Tom Phillips is going over to Raw for one night.
Well, for one night, okay.
Yeah, just continue to blur the lines. Brand split doesn't even exist, actually, so it's fine.
They should just give Booker the night off and have Byron. So
yeah, I'd be so much happy with that.
Let's see. Did you hear that Eddie's son Dominic Mysterio has made his wrestling debut? I thought that was kind of funny. Yeah, I hope he's good.
He showed up in Lucha Underground for a couple of episodes because they were doing a match between Rey Mysterio and John Morrison for the title, and so he got like involved in a couple of matches with Morrison. He's a lot taller than Rey.
Good.
Like he's, I think he's like near 6 foot, if not taller. So he's like towering over Rey at this point. I haven't seen any of his actual matches, but hopefully he's following in his father's footsteps.
So, in theory, if he's good enough and he gets some kind of a tryout with WWE or something in the future, would you want them to give him a separate name and have him be like, I don't know, like, what's Rey Mysterio's real name?
I think maybe Rey Gutierrez or something like that.
I was like, I couldn't remember that. So if he's, say, Dominic Gutierrez, if they call him like, I don't know, some bullshit like Dominic Steele or some bullshit like that, and they have him not masked, out of these options, what do you like best? Do you give him a name like that and you keep him as like a non-masked guy? You put a mask on him, but you make him something completely separate, or you make him Rey Mysterio the Third?
I would probably. He's too different from Rey in terms of his size, his build, to really take on the next like legacy of him.
Actually, there's a fourth option. You make him like Dom Mysterio or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, knowing WWE, they'll definitely, if he does get good enough to join them, reference that fact. But from what I've seen of him, he definitely wouldn't be a cruiserweight or a high flyer. So he'd need to stand out on his own. I can see him going more along the route of like someone like, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like a son that's like a second generation superstar that's completely different to their father. Someone like
Slam Master J.
yeah, or like instead of a Sim Snooker when he was a Deuce in Deuce and Domino.
Yeah.
Like it's just too much of a disconnect.
I'm Googling him right now. He is a lot taller than Ray.
Yeah. He just looks like someone who'll just be like a guy rather than someone who's going to wow people with really like flashy moves.
Looks like he could be TJP's brother.
Yeah, he does actually look quite similar to him.
He'll be Dominic Perkins.
Yeah, that could be a tag team. I don't know whether he can dab though, so they'll have to sort something out with that.
Here's another Lucha Underground question. He says, do you think that Lucha Underground will not be renewed because of the Sexy Star issue with AAA? It doesn't help. But I'm assuming that it wasn't going to get renewed to begin with.
No, I've actually been following a lot of people, like reviewing and watching Lucha Underground and actually checking the ratings. What it seems to be the reason why Lucha Underground is not going to be renewed, one, because they didn't develop enough of following off the first two seasons. The third season hasn't been as great anyway, so that was always going to hurt them. But actually, there seems to be a major issue with the amount of man on woman violence in those episodes. It seems that every time there's like a really like physical match between a male superstar and female superstar, their ratings take a huge hit the next time, the next episode. So I think I've always been a proponent of intergender wrestling when it's done correctly. I think in Lucha Underground they go a little bit overboard because they have people like men breaking women's arms and stuff like that. So it gets a little bit too like bloodthirsty. So that's probably where a disconnect is. But I always think that the model for the show, there was too many people speaking out against it. There was wrestlers within the locker room itself that would just seem to be there for just a paycheck. So it was always such a good idea in concept, but it was definitely not going to last very long.
I always looked at it as like, if you're a fan of pro wrestling, you probably just watch WWE. And if you like other stuff outside of WWE, you probably check out like your local indie wrestling stuff so you can go live, and maybe you watch Impact, probably not based off of their viewers. More than likely you watch like Ring of Honor or New Japan. And the idea of Lucha Underground to me, it always seemed like it was too strange. It's like, let's try to make a TV show out of it more. And that's like, well, then I would rather watch an actual TV show like Glow that doesn't try to pretend that it is, because WWE already is like a TV show that is a sports thing. So if you blur it even more, then that's weird. Like, then that's almost like then you're getting into a full-on reality show.
I do agree to an extent. I think when Lucha Underground did its stuff like as well as it could do, it was blowing WWE out of the water at every opportunity. It was just such a well-told story, a very complete show. There was so much continuity and everything as well. I would say if Lucha Underground does go over, then Dario Cueto, who's the essential figurehead or the boss of Lucha Underground, needs to be in WWE because he is the best like actor authority figure that I've ever seen. And the way that he presents himself, he's so like hammy and corny every now and again, but he's also could be like really serious. And I think he'd fit in well as like
somebody's manager or something.
Yeah, either as a manager or as a authority figure. I think he would definitely make an impression over a lot of other people because he's a genuine actor. They actually got like a real actor to do it rather than get someone from within wrestling to do it. So that's why he does his job properly.
Totally never seen the guy. No idea.
If you just you probably search for like a Dario Cueto compilation, it'll just be him going like, and you're going to be in a ladder match and stuff like that. Just like really over the top.
Moving on here, we got, what do you think of Mia Yim from the Mae Young Classic? She is one of my favorite women wrestlers the past few years and holds my favorite match of the year with Rosemary Monster Ball. I think we both were talking about Mia Yim was impressive enough that she should totally be hired.
Exactly, yeah. Either as a trainer or as a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
She has a lot of experience, a lot of talent. She has a good story with the obviously going through the domestic violence and leading like a charge against it. So I definitely think that she should be at least in NXT, if not in WWE, pretty soon.
Yeah, it's surprising that they haven't really hired some of these other people yet.
I know
They're
it's
serious about not having enough budget for it.
either not enough budget, or maybe some people just don't want to be in WWE right now. I mean, you look at someone like Toni Storm and think that she definitely should be in WWE and they should be going all out to sign her, but she's in her early 20s. Maybe she just wants to work in Japan for a little while, work in the UK, and then go to WWE when the time's right for her.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Hopefully they bring a lot of these women in soon.
Yeah.
Candice LeRae and Mercedes Martinez and everybody. Like there's plenty of people to pick from. How stupid of a name is Johnny Impact? What's your favorite Morrison name? His is Johnny Mundo. I hate Johnny Impact.
Yeah, it's such a stupid name.
That's fucking awful.
I couldn't think of anything better. You might as well call him Johnny Jarrett or something like that as well.
Yeah, it's real bad. I mean, oddly enough, though, I liked the name Johnny Nitro before, but he wasn't wrestling on Nitro. He was just on WWE, and Johnny Nitro felt like a kind of like, because it was Eminem, and they were like, it was Joey Mercury and Johnny Nitro, and it was like it seemed like two like porn star names almost, and it fit. I liked that name quite a bit, but Johnny Impact is just awful, and I never liked the name John Morrison. I thought that was really bland.
Yeah.
Johnny Mundo, I don't even understand what that is.
I don't know what Mundo is in Spanish. I know it's something related to that. I'm trying to find what Mundo is quickly. But I do like Johnny Mundo as like in terms of like the name. It's it means world in Spanish.
Johnny World?
Yeah, essentially.
Well, that's even worse.
I mean, if I was to rank his names in order, I do like Johnny Mundo just because like the way that it rolls off, I think it sounds quite well. And then Johnny Nitro, then John Morrison, and then Johnny Impact. Cause,
yeah, Johnny Impact doesn't even register.
No, because it sounds like an Indian wrestler's name. It just sounds like some geek that would just be on like, oh yeah, I've just been on this local show in front of 50 people, and my name's Johnny Impact, and I'm gonna wow the audience.
You know what it reminds me of? I really hate to make this joke, but it reminds me of when they run these ads for Connor's Cure.
Oh, like someone like Drax the Destroyer or something. Not Drax the Destroyer.
Jimmy the Superman.
Oh yeah.
And the Terminator kid and all that. Johnny Impact to me seems like that would be the name that they would give them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's yeah, it just seems like someone thought of that in like 2 seconds and then decided to run with it. Like, oh, I have a late night going on here. I can't be asked to like spend 10 minutes to think of a good name for this.
At least he didn't go with Johnny Global Force. He'd have to change it again.
Yeah, small mercies. Small mercies, I guess. It can't be Johnny Wrestling either because that's Gargano as well. So
yeah. Well, it's a shame he can't be Johnny Wrestling because it would actually give him a little bit of a boost.
Yeah, it might get him over.
More entertaining now. I always liked Morrison, though. I always thought that he should have been a world champion.
I'd like to see him back one day. But yeah. I think he's burnt too many bridges at this point.
Probably. And they probably don't value him anywhere near as much as where, like, he would actually be brought back for, like, a good reason, you know?
Yeah. I mean, at least he's not with Melina anymore, so he's got that baggage out of the way, so...
Yeah, it took him long enough. Jesus.
Mm.
I don't know who Taya Valkyrie is, like what her personality is and stuff like that, but she's got to be a step up from Melina the way that Melina seemed to have been the past bunch of years.
She's a definite upgrade in basically every capacity.
Nice. Good job, Impact. So let's see here. Since people seem to leave GFW, TNA, whatever the name is, if it's still in business every week, you never know. Who do you like to see leave for WWE? Peter's suggestions are James Storm, Abyss, Rosemary, Crazy Steve, etc. You know, Beer Money and such. I don't know almost any of the people. I looked at their list. Who the fuck is like Jake Christ or Braxton Sutter?
They have gone through such a like upheaval in the last year or so that basically everyone that you know was working for TNA or Impact Wrestling, essentially they've renewed the entire roster, and now there's only about 10 of them left or so that have been there for any like sustained period of time.
Yeah, like I know like Sanjay Dutt, and I know like obviously Abyss and whatever, but a lot of these names I have no idea who they are, and I don't know anything about Eli Drake. I've heard some good things.
He's a good talker. He's like pretty average in the ring, but he's good on the microphone.
So I don't know, maybe him. But the only ones that stood out to me were EC3, James Storm, and Alley.
I'd definitely go EC3, Rosemary over Ali. If there was like only one knockout that I could take over to WWE, I'd definitely go with Rosemary. She has a lot of character.
Haven't seen any of her matches.
She's like a better talker than most of the women in WWE.
Nice.
So, and she's been involved in a lot of like hardcore matches as well. So she likes to throw her body around. Bobby Lashley, I'd bring back to WWE because he's improved immensely since the days of just not being able to talk or do anything with any sort of charisma.
If they brought back Lashley, I'd want them to put him on NXT.
He's too good for that, and he's too. I mean, he's got a lot of an MMA background as well. Now, I'd like to see him fight Lesnar almost. I wanted to lose to Lesnar, but I think he could have a decent match with him. Other than that, there's really nobody that stands out to me. And I definitely wouldn't bring James Storm back, because as far as I'm concerned, he had his opportunity and he passed it up, and look where he is now.
Yeah, that's true. You might just kind of be like, oh, no, that's a learning lesson, you know?
Yeah.
If you come to WWE and you've got your chance at NXT, take it.
Yeah, he had his shot, and he definitely could have done well in WWE. He definitely would be on the main roster by now if he'd have stayed in NXT.
Yeah, he'd probably be having some great matches with Bobby Roode.
Yeah, but now he's just got to deal with matches against Congo Kong. Fuck? Yeah, Congo Kong or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know like any of these people. So, I mean, there might be some great people. That's the thing, but I ain't watching Impact.
I mean, I've watched a few bits and pieces. There are some, like, in terms of, like, the issues with the GFW or TNA or whatever, the issues aren't with the talent. They've got a lot of really good wrestlers, but it would take a lot for some of them to displace some of the people that are already in WWE. They just don't stand out enough.
Another question from Peter was, who do you think is Roode's best team? Beer Money.
Yeah, he's only really had Beer Money and the tag team with Austin Aries. I guess with like Team Canada from like years and years ago, but it's definitely Beer Money.
And he had that Fortune stable.
Yeah, but he was still Beer Money at that point.
That's true.
He was the tag team out of that group, whereas like AJ Styles was the main eventer and Kazarian was the X Division person. They were the tag team, so.
Let's see here. Do you think that Bobby Roode is doing good on the main roster? Darn, I say he's gloryless. Do you think that he's the one to beat Jinder and that's why he's a babyface? No. Jinder Mahal is going to lose that belt to Styles.
Styles?
I think it's Styles, yeah. I'm thinking, this is a little bit of spoilers for the predictions post, but I'm thinking Nakamura loses at Hell in a Cell and Styles loses at Hell in a Cell. And we get John Cena to come back for like a one match kind of thing, sort of, with Jinder Mahal at what's the next pay-per-view? Survivor Series. Or alternatively, maybe Sami Zayn gets a title shot against Jinder at Survivor Series, and then at Clash of Champions, AJ takes the belt.
It definitely could happen. I think Zayn is next in line for the title.
To win the title.
Yeah, and I know that sounds utterly bizarre, but I think what they're doing with Kevin Owens right now is they're positioning him to be in the main event, well, not the main event, but in the World Championship picture by about WrestleMania time. And I think the ideal person to have the title at that point would be Sami Zayn.
See, I think Owens is going to get screwed over. I think we're getting Styles Nakamura for the title at WrestleMania, and Owens if he's lucky, it'll be Owens versus Rude. Which, I mean, as far as Rude being a babyface and stuff like that, that's not working.
I mean, the reason why he's a babyface is because his entrance theme is over.
Yeah, that's basically it.
And also because he's got a lot of like a reputation about him. So a lot of people don't watch NXT; they watch the main programming. So when they see Bobby Roode come in, they're going to cheer him automatically, whether it's heel or face. So at least bringing him in as a babyface means they can get that initial like excitement out of the way, and then they can start building him in the direction they want him to go. Because he'll definitely excel more as a heel.
He will, and he's got so many more options too. You could do Bobby Roode versus Randy Orton, Bobby Roode versus John Cena. I don't think Bobby Roode versus, like I said, Kevin Owens. They're two of my favorites, but I don't think that would work the same.
No.
Just like I don't think that Roode versus Ziggler is going to really work. And those are two of my favorites too. I know that you're not a fan of Ziggler, but like to me, it's like in that capacity, Roode seems like he should be the heel, and Ziggler seems like he should be the babyface.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the better dynamic in terms of match quality. I think it works for now because, well, essentially Roode is popular and Ziggler isn't. So, for the most part, I think he's doing okay at the moment. He'll do a lot better when he is a heel. And I think when he does turn heel, I think he could definitely be a world champion contender. I don't think he's the one to take it from Jinder, but I think 2018, I think we could definitely see him as WWE champion.
Yeah, I really hope so. He should win that title.
Yeah, because he's just, even though he's not like, so he doesn't have like a huge move set, and he's a big match wrestler in terms of just pacing a match, and obviously he's got the magnificent entrance, and he's got a great look to him as well, so he just fits as a champion.
We've got a little bit of actually they might have already said what this was about the DLC content for WWE 2K18.
Yeah.
Peter asks about the Hardys, Elias, James Ellsworth, Lana, Singh Brothers, Shelton Benjamin, and Drew McIntyre. Do you know if any of them are actually in it or not?
The Hardy Boys are in DLC. Let's see who. They've definitely put. I don't think Lana is a wrestler. As far as I'm aware, the DLC at the moment is. So they've got the Hardy Boys.
I could see Lana, Elias, and Ellsworth, but I don't think the Singh Brothers, Shelton, or McIntyre.
No. I'm looking at the list of DLC now. So they've added the Rock and Roll Express. Drew McIntyre.
Oh, they did add McIntyre. Okay.
Yeah. Beth Phoenix, Aleister Black, Lars Sullivan.
Wow. Lars.
I
didn't
know.
Think he was like officially on the NXT roster at this point.
I mean, he's wrestling like week to week on NXT at the moment.
That's a good point. I'm gonna have to change that.
But that's surprising compared to like a lot of NXT people aren't on this. Like where's Blake and Murphy? God. Like legitimately, where is Blake and Murphy? It's like I don't know at this point.
Do they have Cassius Ohno?
I don't remember. I think he might have been like in the original package. Like he might be just like standard. The other three they've added to DLC are Ruby Riott, Elias, and the Hardy Boys.
Okay, so no James Ellsworth, no Singh Brothers, and no Shelton Benjamin, but the rest are yeah.
The rest of them are good.
Not bad. Shelton Benjamin was a pretty late addition to the roster, so I can understand that. And Ellsworth, that seems like they should have put Ellsworth in there, actually.
We should be as a manager at the very least, I think, or as a personality.
But speaking about the Singh Brothers, it's weird. They have not yet wrestled a single match on the main roster.
No, I don't know when they're going to do that.
Isn't that strange?
Well, I think they're the next people to challenge for the tag titles.
I hope that that's the case because it's weird that like they've been on this main roster thing with Jinder Mahal for so many months now.
Yeah, since April at least. Yeah.
And the go-to thing all the time is always like when you've got somebody feuding and they've got stablemates and stuff, you have the people fight their partners and stuff. Like if Roman Reigns and Ambrose and Rollins pair up and they do this whole Shield and Miztourage thing, we're going to see like Bo Dallas against Roman Reigns and The Miz against Dean Ambrose and stuff. Like they're gonna just pair them all off, and it's weird that like we never had like Shinsuke Nakamura against Sunil Singh and stuff.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm sure they'll get round to it eventually. They're just like too focused on Jinder at the moment.
Yeah, and
I mean,
not even good enough focused.
No.
We have two questions about The Undertaker here. Do you think that today the character of The Undertaker, played by Mark Calloway or not, would get over? And the other one is, do you think that The Undertaker is retired? And about the rumor of, well, I haven't heard this rumor, but Taker versus Roman versus Brock at Mania. That's not going to happen.
No, not 100% not. The only way that match could happen is if Taker wins, because what's the point of having him get beaten by one of the people that have already beaten him at WrestleMania?
By both people.
Yeah, he gets pinned by both of them. Yeah, he gets pinned by both of them. Then he's double lost to them. So
I think, as far as the retirement goes, I think Undertaker is retired. I don't think we're going to get that Cena Taker match.
I'm 50-50 at the moment. I think it depends on what happens at the Royal Rumble for me. I think
if something doesn't happen at the Royal Rumble, then it's a guarantee. But even at this point, I think that we're going to get Cena against somebody else. I think we're going to get Cena Samoa Joe, or Cena Rude, or Cena Strowman, maybe. I don't know. But Cena Taker doesn't seem like it's going to happen to me. And no, by no means would Undertaker get over nowadays.
I mean, Bray Wyatt isn't over, so.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is Undertaker was a character during a time frame where they had these type of characters, and he was like the cool version of it. Like we had like Skinner, and we had the Repo Man, and all that, and people bought into a lot of those things. Like some people chanted for the Red Rooster, and that was a totally different time frame. So Undertaker happened to be the cool version of that, and he tweaked his character enough that like when people just saw how good he was, they were just like, we'll give him a pass, you know. Now like Bray Wyatt is boring, and you take like a guy like Aleister Black. Aleister Black has an entrance, but that's it. He's not that type of character. Same with Finn Balor. Finn Balor has an entrance, and that's it.
Yeah, too many of them are now based in realism rather than Undertaker's too much of an abstract concept.
Undertaker would be like his nickname now.
Yeah.
It'd be like Mark the Undertaker Calloway, and he'd wear the boxer gloves, and it would be like, you know, oh, he's going to put him down for the count, you know, like that kind of thing. And it's like, he wouldn't be the Undertaker.
No.
Actually, he probably wouldn't even be wrestling. He'd be in MMA.
Yeah, that would probably, like everyone else, yeah.
Mm-hmm. You take a young Mark Calloway now, he'd go into MMA, I'm sure.
Yeah, he'd probably do well in that situation. Then he'd probably or he'd fail at it and then come to WWE.
Maybe. I'm curious to see how many of those people actually would do that. You know, Kurt Angle would.
Oh, Kurt Angle 100% would. He definitely would have done that before going into WWE. Yeah, because he would have actually been really good at it. I mean, he seems to, at least with the amateur wrestling side of things. I don't know whether the striking side of things he'd do well in, but he's shown an interest in doing it. So
let's see here. What other question? What did we leave off? Oh, who in the concussion lawsuit do you think should be in the Hall of Fame? Should Ted Turner be in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know.
No.
Oh, Turner definitely should be in the Hall of Fame.
You think?
He's the person that led the Monday Night Wars essentially, because he funneled all that money into WCW. WCW would have died in the early 1990s if Ted Turner hadn't been around.
Yeah, but that's I look at that more as like Bischoff is the figurehead of that, not Ted Turner.
I mean, Bischoff's the visionary behind it, but the only reason why Bischoff was allowed to be the visionary for it is because Ted Turner kept bailing him out of all. Money. He kept bailing him out of all the lost revenue.
Ted Turner's money should be in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, Ted Turner will never be in the Hall of Fame because him and Vince McMahon have never. I mean, they legitimately didn't like each other, so he won't allow him in.
Yeah.
I don't know who's in the concussion lawsuit anymore. It seems to be growing day by day how many people are in it.
I looked at a list that I had found, and the only names that I thought of that weren't already in the Hall of Fame that should be are King Kong Bundy,
Yeah.
one man gang, Demolition, and maybe I could see a case for it if he's not in too bad of a spirit with the company, but Earl Hebner. But that's not going to happen.
No, I don't see any of them happening. Not for a while, anyway. Not until this is all brushed over. I could probably see. I think Demolition are probably the most likely out of all of those to go into the Hall of Fame.
I could see maybe King Kong Bundy.
I mean, I think they all merit a place in the Hall of Fame. They've all like had enough of a reputation of like, especially One Man Gang, or as he's more famously known, Akeem the African Dream. So I hope he goes
the
in.
distinction. It'll be Akeem goes in, not One Man Gang.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm scoring every WWE pay-per-view, so be warned this question probably will show up again. All right, well, we're on, we've been warned. The Elimination Survivor Series match, how is that scored if you are eliminated and your team wins? Do you get a win or a loss? I'm scoring by WWE standards. If I had the call, you lose, you lose. As far as I know, if your team wins, it's a win for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Even if you're eliminated, if your team wins, it counts as you won the match.
Yeah. And it's just sort of like an extra little boost if you're like one of the sole survivors kind of thing.
Yeah. I think it says like the team person wins. Like, even though they announce as like, here's your winner, just this guy, even though there were 4 other people wrestling as well in the match. It's like,
yeah.
I think that's the way they go about it.
I think so too. WWE now has 3 free agents: Uncle Shushu, John Cena, OK Movies. I have no idea what you mean.
Yeah,
by this,
yeah.
Peter.
Is that his new nickname? I don't think it really fits with like the Doctor of Thugonomics or something like that, but you can try and get it over.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means.
Uncle Shunshu.
He says Renee Young should be just on Raw. Corey Graves pick a side. What do you think of that? And the brand split for the Big Four, do you think that Corey Galt calls both shows? I think I'm finally 100% understand and agree with Tony about what he's been saying all this time. Essentially, it boils down to we've got John Cena as a free agent that could go between the 2 shows. Corey Graves does do commentary for both, and Renee Young does do backstage interviews and pre-shows and stuff like that for both. And Peter's starting to see how we spent such a long time going, the brand split's a bad idea. This is going to be fucking awful, and it won't take long before they crap it out. And they did.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm not as against the brand split as you, but the idea that the way that they're approaching it is just so completely wrong in every way, shape, or form. The idea of brand split was meant to be there's competition between both sides, and I'm going to keep harping on this until like it eventually goes back to normal. Either whether that means they actually do a proper brand split or they just revert back to having one full roster. It's meant to be a competition. You don't associate one with the other, or you try and like one up the other. You invade the other person's shows. You have inter-promotional matches to determine which ones are the best. The way they do it right now, it's just like, oh yeah, this is just WWE, but we just have 2 shows, so we just did this.
Right. And I don't like that. I want that to be as far away from each other as possible, so that way when you do have something like Survivor Series, it means a lot more.
Exactly.
Last question for Peter. Then we got Frankie's. People are saying that the world is upside down with Trump as president. I heard this in class, and my reaction was, anything can happen in WWE. Jinder is a world champion. What do you think happened to the world?
Oh, God. This is a loaded question, isn't it?
This is one of those things where we can go on for years talking about what happened to the world, but it boils down to people suck.
Yeah, essentially, a lot of people are selfish, a lot of people are stupid, and a lot of those people have power. So there's really not much we can do about it. We just have to make the best with what we've got.
Yeah, and I think that politics are one of those things. I mentioned before that if you agree with certain things or you disagree with certain things, everybody's always going to be mad at everybody else's opinions because it's not going to be 100% what it is. So I'm sure everything that I say will be like, well, I agree and I disagree with that kind of thing. But from my perspective, it looks like there's problems with Obama, there's problems with Trump. There's problems with Biden and Pence and, like everybody on that kind of side of things. And I don't like Hillary Clinton. I don't like whatever. I liked Bernie Sanders, but I'm sure he would have done some stuff that would have pissed me off too, because all politicians are going to cause some kind of problems and stuff. But I think that the way that the world's working, not just with Trump, but with everything else too, is everybody goes into these like valleys and hills and mountains where it's kind of like, we did this big progressive type thing by having our first black president. And then as a response to that, the people that were upset about that were very pro-Trump.
Yeah.
Because it was very like, we need change from that kind of. And even though there's plenty of people, I know people that are like this, that voted for Trump because they actually believe in like his political agenda, and not for any kind of like racial situation or whatever. There's definitely people that voted that way because they have like racial tendencies and stuff. And then it's kind of like you get the half of the country that's very like, you can get out, that kind of shit,
Yeah.
And then you get the other half that's very like, we need to be tolerant of everything. And it's like, both sides are fucking insane. And it's like only the people that are in the middle that seem to actually get anything accomplished, because we have say this whole thing with taking a knee with at the NFL that's happening now.
Yeah.
This is fucking insane, because you've got people protesting because they don't like the way that the country's going. And then you've got people that are saying that they're not protesting heavy enough and they should be like throwing Molotov cocktails into fucking buildings and stuff. And then the other side, which is going, I'm mad at how they're protesting, and if they protest, they should do anything other than that because it's disrespectful to the flag and whatever. And it's like, then you get the people like me in the center that are like, does it fucking matter?
Yeah, exactly.
And
I mean, seriously, dude, I'm trying to eat a sandwich right now. Can you just leave me alone with this talk?
Yeah, like that's how I kind of feel. And it's like, none of the sides are accomplishing a goddamn thing.
Mm.
And it ends up being that like both extremes bitch and bitch and bitch at each other. And you start getting like angry responses back and forth. And then everybody lashes out and everything goes to hell. And then we have to kind of crumple society and then start back at and heal again, kind of.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like you need two people to clash and fight, and then once they're done fighting each other, then the normal centrist kind of people can go and clean up the mess.
We can only hope.
It's sort of like that's how I imagine what the world's happening right now. We've got two militantly opposed to each other's sides. One happens to be in control and the other one happens to be protesting. And 4 years from now, when we get another election, it's going to be the flip side. And you're going to get a Democratic president, and then you're going to get these militant anti-democratic people that are going to be the ones protesting and whatever, and it's just going to fucking keep up the circle again, and I'll be in my corner doing my own thing and just being like, today was a good day, kind of thing.
I think, like, to just go as in like an overview, it's like thinking like the way the world is, what's happened to the world. To be fair, the world has always been like this. It's just, it's so much clearer to people now, and there's so many more people that have an opinion about it.
Yeah, and
especially through social media,
makes it so much easier and stuff. Like, back in the day, it used to be like, well, if you had an opinion, it'll take you 5 months to tell anybody because you needed to mail it through carrier pigeon and shit.
Yeah, and the only people that were to have an opinion were the people that were powerful enough to do it. Now, essentially, everyone has their own like ability to have a certain limited amount of power, whether it's through a social media account or through forums or whatever. Everyone has something to say and a way of getting it across to as many people as possible.
Although one thing that hasn't changed is back in the day, it used to be that not everybody could read or write, and you wouldn't be able to express your opinion that way. Nowadays, people can't read or write, and they still tweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you get stuff that, who was the guy that just said something about somebody else? It was, shit, I read it last night before I fell asleep. Some rapper or something said to somebody, you can't never go to Atlanta.
It was double negative, yeah.
Can't never? It was somebody tweeting to Shia LaBeouf.
Oh,
I
of
don't fucking
course.
remember. Which is like Shia LaBeouf on its own. It's like you're all just fucking crazy.
Mm.
Which actually, that's a good transition to go into Frankie's first question. His first question is, "What's your opinion about the whole racist Jinder Mahal promo?" Look, I totally understand when WWE's writers want to push buttons, and I cannot argue that I would not do the same kind of thing myself every once in a while. Just be like, yeah, let's just do something to just get people talking and whatever. But I can understand why people were chanting that's too far. And
Yes.
more so, the problem to me, if Jinder Mahal's failing so much that the only way that they can try to get heat is for him to say, you rooka, like a whatever, then you need to take the fucking belt off of him because he sucks. You shouldn't have a heel that needs to be like borderline racist to be able to get the crowd to actually do something.
Agreed. I will say this. There are many TV shows that have racist characters that you're supposed to dislike. And so we shouldn't just say just because it's wrestling they can't have racist characters, because there's racist characters on The Walking Dead or any
Right.
other shows.
And he is a villain.
Yeah, and he is a bad guy. He's someone that you're supposed to revile. But the issue is that it's come out of absolutely nowhere. The segments themselves are just bad, whether it's racist or not. They are just utterly unwatchable segments of him just looking at pictures of Shinsuke Nakamura and laughing hysterically about how every face he makes is exactly the same, which is racist, but like it'd be bad whether he was making a racist issue out of it or not. And it's also like it just came out of absolutely nowhere, because the idea was that Jinder Mahal was meant to be saying that Americans are all like racist and hypocrites and they don't like
Right?
people like him becoming champion, and then he just decides to be racist about it. And I think he was originally it was going along the approach of saying that this is what Americans think about you, but it's just like people don't actually think like that. Like I know certain people think like that because they're fucking idiots, but you
Right.
can't really do that sort of stuff. But I'm certain a number of probably wrestling fans will probably cheer and saying, yeah, he does look the same in every picture and stuff like that. But so you're appealing to that audience. If you want to do that, then by all means, I think maybe you should start appealing to an audience that is like more logically thinking and is actually progressing with the world rather than staying like 20 years behind the times. That's just me.
And you know what confuses me about this whole situation? We haven't seen any kind of real blowback from this
No,
yet.
Nakamura hasn't. Oh, you mean you're talking more lines of like Nakamura's not really done anything to counter it or anything like that.
No, I'm talking more about like they punished people for doing so much less stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like Brad Maddox says prick on a live event that isn't even broadcast, and he gets fired for it because he said prick.
Well, you don't think that Jinder's coming up with this stuff off the cuff? This is actually material that's been given to him to say
Yeah,
stuff.
but it's like you would think that writer would be fired, right?
No, well, it must have been approved. Put it this way: if it was said by Jinder Mahal, then Vince McMahon approved it.
And that's like to me that should be the type of thing that look they had Michael Cole do like some kind of big training seminar thing where one of his DMs leaked about who was he calling, like Josh Matthews. He said like you queer or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, and then they made a big stink about that. They've had like official apologies about different things, yet they do like a racist kind of thing, and their big statement is like, we got some interesting characters, don't we? And it's like, what?
Yeah. Well,
So
that's
like,
the
is that
difference.
just
Yeah.
okay because it's just making fun of Asian people? Like,
Well, the difference is that one of them's like done in WWE's controlled environment, and the other side of things are done that WWE can't be in control of, and they can't handle the fact that they can't be in control of everything that every one of their employees says or thinks or does. So if they do something that they're slightly not in agreement with, then they have to just take huge affirmative action against it. Whereas on this side of things, they essentially wrote it and approved it, so they're just going to try and defend it as much as possible.
it's just bullshit. And I think
Yeah.
that Jinder Mahal's a terrible champion, and
Yeah.
it's not for this reason. It's just he's not been entertaining since he won that fucking title.
No, it's not it hasn't taken a couple of racist remarks to make me think that he's a terrible champion. He's just a terrible champion.
Yeah. let's see. We have Undisputed Era teased Roderick Strong joining them. Would you like that to happen? And do you think that Tainara Conti was the right choice to join the faction? Kind of. Strong is boring, and I don't dislike him, but he needs something. The problem with Strong joining the Undisputed Era, first off, I hate that name.
I like
so
it
much.
I like the
fact
fact Undisputed. Well, I don't understand it behind it, but I think if we were to have an explanation, it probably would be something which is slightly more thought out than usual. I think just Undisputed in the sense of these are the guys that are just like top of the tree because they've been through all the independents and stuff like that. So these guys are taking over because there's no one that can dispute the fact that they're better than everyone else. That's the way that I'm kind of gearing it right now. I don't mind it. I don't like the Undisputed Era. I just like the name The Undisputed.
Yeah, if they just called themselves Undisputed, I think I'd like it better.
Yeah.
But they're bland as hell. Like,
at the moment,
Kyle
yeah.
O'Reilly and Bobby Fish have no personality to me, and Roderick Strong has no real personality. So if you add another guy to that mix, then it's going to just seem like it's even more pronounced. And as far as Tainara Conti goes, I probably would have gone with Sarah Logan instead, but I don't see really an issue with Conti joining in. So it's more just, sure, why not, kind of a thing.
I go more along the lines that I always thought the faction was going to be along the lines that these are all Ring of Honor people.
Yeah, and Conti's not one of them.
Yeah, she's like from essentially their performance center.
So I was in Ring of Honor, right?
I think so. I can't say for certain, but I know someone that I would have put in that team that definitely was in Ring of Honor, and that would be Mercedes Martinez.
That'd be even better.
She would be a much better fit, especially like as a Grizzly veteran that's had to like fight her way to finally get recognised. She would have made much more of an impact. I think Tainara Conti's a bit more of like she's good and she could definitely improve a lot going forward, but I just don't see her as NXT Women's Champion at any point. And when I'm always seeing like these factions, I'm always thinking, okay, which one's going to be the world champion? Which one's going to be tag champions? Like, I just don't see Tainara Conti in that mold just yet.
We have 2 horsewomen match questions. Do you think we'll get the 4 horsewomen versus the 4 horsewomen, the Force women? And do you think that Ronda Rousey will fully sign with WWE? Yes and no. No full Ronda Rousey, definitely 4 horsewomen match.
Yeah, I could agree with that. I don't think it will happen. I don't think it's going to happen at either this Survivor Series or at WrestleMania, as a lot of people expect, but maybe in the next, like, late 2018, 2019, I could see it happening. Definitely not going to sign Ronda Rousey to a long-term deal. Unless she wants to, and I don't think she wants to do it full-time, but I definitely think she wants to sign on for a few matches.
Yeah. She's a couple matches, and that's about it.
Yeah, and I think that's all you need.
Just one match thing, but I think probably a couple.
I think that's all you need, really. But I just don't want her to... She needs more than one match, because I don't want her to just like beat everybody and then there's nothing really happens from it.
Yeah.
So you want her to at least lose to someone at some point. So she's going to have at least like 3 or 4 matches. Like, build her.
She's awful.
I mean, she could be utterly terrible. I think, based on what I've seen in terms of like her, when she's been in like the Fast and the Furious, those staged fights, she looks quite comfortable. It's a completely different environment, but she's got a lot of character and personality, and that's kind of all you really need. And she could probably string a few moves together.
Yeah, I'm thinking at the very least we get that 4 horsewomen match.
Yeah,
and then we gotta see where it goes from there.
Mm-hmm.
Baszler, she's fine enough. She could just be a full-time roster member, but the other ones I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the other 2 members of the horsewomen, so I can't tell you how good.
I forget their names. Jessamine Duke is one, and Marina something, the one that's married to Strong.
Ah, right.
I forget her fucking last name. I think it starts with a D, but I always have to look it up. We have some Big Brother questions. I'm going to breeze through these. Final thoughts on Big Brother 19, your thoughts on the celebrity season, thoughts on how Paul got screwed, and the possible all-star season for season 20. All right, number 1, Paul got fucked over. It's ridiculous. It was a bitter jury, and he deserves better than that. He should not have gotten second place twice. That's stupid. Season 20, I would totally be in for an all-star season. That's much more interesting to me than an celebrity season. And I will watch the celebrity season if the celebrities are good. But if they are terrible, then I probably won't. It depends. Reality shows, when they do celebrity things, it tends to be horrible celebrities. It'll be like, here's our celebrity edition of Big Brother with like some third place contestant in America's Next Top Model and Kathy Griffin and fucking, like, and it's like, I don't like those people. So if it's legitimate celebrities that are interesting, which I doubt it will be, then I'll like it. And if it's not and it's a bunch of rejects, then I have no interest in it. But Paul got screwed over. Josh didn't deserve to win.
I agree and disagree with everything Tony just said.
Moving on here back to wrestling a little bit. Who do you see Kurt Angle facing at WrestleMania 34 or whenever? 2 options, I think. Either Triple H or Seth Rollins. But I don't think he's necessarily even going to wrestle.
I think he's going to wrestle Jason Jordan.
I think, if anything, he might tag with Jason Jordan.
Potentially at some point. I always think that the end goal of this is that Jason Jordan's going to turn heel and reveal that he wasn't Kurt Angle's son.
Yeah, that eventually they'll have to do that.
Yeah, so I think that that could really lead to a match between the two. I think the Triple H one is a possibility. Maybe someone like Neville, I'd like to see, or Chad Gable. I'm just trying to think of people that would pair well with Angle. Maybe even someone like Rusev if he goes down the anti-American stuff again for the umpteenth time.
If you did say Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan versus Triple H and a wrestler, who do you think could be somebody that could pair with Triple H like that? Because he has no
Miz.
like son kind of thing.
Miz. Yeah, I'd say Miz could fit in that role well. Maybe a Sheamus if they separate Sheamus and Cesaro.
Yeah, that could work.
Because we know those two are like running buddies, so people can play off that side of things, and the Angle and Jordan, obviously the family ties. I think it's more likely that we see Jordan versus Angle than them teaming together at some point.
I know that he's specifically said that he wants to wrestle Seth Rollins above all others.
Well, if he wants it and he can prove that he is fit enough to wrestle some matches, then I'm sure he'll get that match at some point.
Yeah. I can't see that happening at this year's WrestleMania, though. If it happens, maybe at, like, next SummerSlam.
Yeah, Angle versus Rollins doesn't scream WrestleMania to me.
Nah. And it's like, what would the storyline be, you know? Rollins is a babyface. It would seem weird. This is a random question. Polka dots or stripes? Stripes.
Yeah, I'd prefer stripes.
Polka dots.
No, I've never worn anything with polka dots on.
No, I'm not Dusty Rhodes.
I mean, that's probably quite good because he's dead, so that would be pretty bad.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think that Cody will fight at Starrcade as Hayes offered him to team up with Goldust? Definitely not. Definitely not.
I mean, it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world, but I think he's now signed with Ring of Honor, so he's pretty much locked into that now.
Yeah. I don't think Goldust is even going to wrestle at Starrcade.
No, and that's really stupid. I mean, to be fair, Starrcade is a SmackDown event, so he's a Raw superstar. So
exactly, and to me, it's like Starrcade doesn't necessarily have to be a Dusty Rhodes thing. It's a WCW thing.
Yeah,
more so, it's a post-Thanksgiving thing.
I mean, to be fair, the Hardy Boys apparently were meant to be wrestling on Starrcade, but obviously that's not happening now because Hardy's in. Jeff Hardy's in. Yeah,
but they're putting Rock and Roll Express on there.
Yeah, I wonder who they're going to face. Yeah, I wonder who they're going to face.
Good Brothers.
Oh god, if Good Brothers lose that match,
they probably will.
Yeah.
Although I hope that they just like steamroll them. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Another tag team question: are you fond of the WWE trying to have the New Day break the tag team title reign record? Yes, 100%.
You're a bigger fan of the New Day than most people.
I'm very biased.
Um, I don't know. I mean, are they trying to break like how many reigns they have? Is that what he's referring to?
Yeah, which
So
I
that
think is Dudley Boys.
yeah, they're 19-time tag team champions. The Dudley. Well,
Oh, they're
if,
not. They're not counting those. They're just gonna do the WWE ones.
oh, so they're.
So
I think
like
then.
7,
I think it's
7 or
9.
8.
I think it's 9 actually.
Hmm.
I'm trying to count all the ones off the top of my head. I know their last tag team title reign was in 2004.
It's hard to tell because they have like so many different lineages for these titles.
Yeah. Well, out of those like 19 reigns they have, only one of them is the WCW tag title. So it depends. All the rest of them are ECW and WWE tag titles. So they have quite a lot. How many do New Day have now? They have 4.
4, I think.
I don't think they're going to break the record. I think they will split by that point.
So
Because
the Dudley Boys have 9,
no,
unless you count WCW.
yeah, I don't count the WCW.
Yeah, they have 1 for the WWE tag team titles and 8 for the WWF World Tag Team titles.
Okay. So I'd say that they're not going to break the record between now and their eventual
Next
split
week.
up. I mean, at the rate that they're swapping titles with the Usos, maybe, but well, at that point, the Usos would break the record before the New
Yeah.
Day would, because they've got 5 tag team title reigns at the moment. So
They'll end this feud with Hell in a Cell. Then it'll be like New Day will drop the belts to, I don't know, Harper and Rowan or something, and then they could do that. They could try at the very least. I don't think that they'll necessarily break the title reign record, but I'm all for it if they can do it, as long as it's not hot potatoing.
yeah, I would like to have them to have some solid like reigns in between that stuff. And obviously, they've got the longest reign for any WWE tag team, so they can't really be expected to top that, but they could definitely get a few good like 100 plus, 200 plus day reigns in there.
And they're the first tag team to win the Raw and the SmackDown tag titles.
Yeah, I think they've got enough records. I don't think they need too much more.
I think they need all the records. They should also be the ones to beat Braun Strowman after he wins all the belts.
Yeah.
This is what were we on there? Okay, here we are. When will Carmella cash in? I don't know.
I think she's going to cash in at Starrcade.
I think that could be a possibility.
Yeah,
I definitely think that's a possibility.
it'd be a great way to just show that anything can happen on house shows. So if you see this big house show coming to your area, you need to turn up because something massive may happen, or it probably won't. But you still come anyway.
I got a feeling she's gonna lose her cash in, and there's gonna be a complete wash of Money in the Bank between both of them.
They wouldn't do it with both of them, surely. They've already done it with
Mm.
Corbin. I mean, I think Carmella's in a better position because she's been more visible with her briefcase than Corbin ever was, and she's also got Ellsworth to help her out as well, so she's can still not be that great, but can justify winning the title because she's got someone to do her bidding for her. I just think it's a good transition point to get the title either back onto Naomi or onto Becky Lynch, to have her as the actual heel focus.
I think if Charlotte wins this belt from Natalya and they want to keep her champion heading into WrestleMania, Carmella's better off waiting until post WrestleMania to cash in.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I'd like a situation where you have Charlotte win the title and then she faces Becky Lynch in a babyface versus babyface match at WrestleMania. Lynch manages to win and then Carmella immediately cashes in. Just because I think Becky Lynch plays the character of like the babyface that gets screwed over at every opportunity so well.
So you just want to screw her over again?
Well, yeah, she's the female Sami Zayn.
Oh, poor girl. Does because she's got the reddish hair.
I'm a little bit more in depth than that. It's
She's not as much of a dork.
No.
Also, she does do dorky puns, which is one of the reasons why I like her.
She's also got the like. I can imagine like Sami Zayn just like the scar thing, and she's got the steampunk thing. They're quite like niche areas as well. Essentially, they're the same person.
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, have you ever seen both of them in the same room?
Not physically.
exactly.
conspiracies. I think we need the fashion police on it.
Oh, they're back
Which
next week. That'll be good. That's
brand
their
do you think
case.
that Paige will go to? SmackDown.
Yeah, I always wanted her to go on to like Raw because saying, "Oh, she's been on Red Tube more than the Red brand in this last year." So, but she'll go to SmackDown. SmackDown need her more than Raw does, especially with Asuka going on to Raw.
I don't think we've been asked this question before, but what is your favorite color?
Green. Occasionally, maybe go for a blue or purple, but green is my favorite.
I'd go black, and then silver or gray, and then white. But I know a lot of people are like, those aren't colors, they're the absence of color and all that bullshit. So if you're one of those purists and stuff, then as far as actual colors go, blue.
And yes, everyone, I'm just as shocked that it's not pink. So
I do like that pink shirt.
it is. It is moist. I mean, I don't mind a pink shirt. Your pink shirt is fine by me.
Yeah, it's got some approval. Let's see. Would you be down with Strowman versus Wyatt at WrestleMania? No, not at WrestleMania. He deserves so much better than that. Strowman, I mean.
Yes, Strowman's outgrown Bray too much to the point where it's just not big enough for a WrestleMania match.
You know what I would like to see, though? I would like to see maybe Survivor Series for... Because they're dragging out this fucking Finn Balor thing again, which is just
I
like,
know.
come on, man. But Strowman, I don't know what they're going to be doing with Strowman now. And I wouldn't mind a feud for Survivor Series where we see Bray Wyatt start to do his normal shtick, where he's just like, hey, Braun, man, you're looking for some challenge, and I'm the eater, or else, whatever. And for Strowman to just beat the shit out of him. And to make the feud where it's almost like lampshading the whole situation, where like Wyatt doesn't get a chance to even do his kind of mind game stuff because Strowman's just like this bat out of hell, and it could just be a whole feud of Braun Strowman beating the crap out of Bray Wyatt. Like, no mind games, no Wyatt getting into his head and being like, I used to control you. Nah, Strowman just is like, fuck you, old man, like that kind of thing. Like,
yeah, it could be along the lines of thinking that Bray was the one that brought him in, but Strowman has far surpassed what Bray has ever accomplished, essentially.
Yeah.
Even though Bray is like former WWE champion and along those lines, but Braun is just cemented himself as like one of the top names on Raw, whereas Bray, even though he calls himself a god and all that stuff, just can't like hold a candle to him.
I'd even like to see it if they didn't even start it with Braun being attacked by Wyatt. I'd like to see like Wyatt just cut a random promo and Strowman to interfere and just beat him up. And then Wyatt the next week could be like, oh, you think you could pick a fight with me and whatever, and like a backstage segment. And then Braun just interrupts in the middle of the backstage segment to beat him up and just make it a regular
I'm not
thing.
finished with you.
Yeah, I think that would be fucking hilarious. And the crowd would eat it up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they'd love to see just get Bray Wyatt get beaten up by Braun Strowman every week. They love it when anyone gets beaten up by Braun Strowman every week. I mean, Kurt Hawkins, probably his stock went up because he got beat up by Braun Strowman this week.
That's what I'm hoping to see. But at WrestleMania, no, definitely not.
Give Strowman something like to sink his teeth into.
Yeah, we need like Strowman Joe or Strowman Cena or Strowman to retire Big Show for good or...
Yeah, there's a lot of better options. I mean, I'd even prefer to see Strowman in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal winning it than
I'd rather
facing Bray Wyatt.
Have him just beat everybody in the Royal Rumble. Not the Royal Rumble, the Battle Royal. Have him start off and everybody attacks him and he pushes them all away and one by one he throws them all out. I'd rather even see that happen. Will WWE treat Jason Jordan as another Roman Reigns guy? I don't think so.
Not to the extent. I actually think they will push him quite hard, but I think they'll push him hard when he's heel. Because he'll eventually turn heel in this situation, but I do think they see something in him, and I don't think they're entirely like far-fetched for thinking that. He's
talented.
Yeah, his mic skills definitely need a lot of work, but he's very good in the ring, very crisp.
He's got a good look to him too. So if he
Yeah.
can figure out that character work, then he should be solid. But he's not going to be the next top guy type of thing.
No, I don't think he's ever going to exceed too far past the mid card. He might get a few like world title opportunities here and there, but I don't see him as a world champion, at least not for a good number of years for now.
Yeah. Let's see. Should WWE consider putting NXT on live TV? If they could, but they're not going to.
No, it's a stupid idea.
Yeah,
Just because NXT doesn't have a strong enough audience really on its own, even though it's a very good show. I don't think it has a strong enough audience. I don't know what network would take it. And it's one of the biggest drawing points of the WWE network, so why would you put that onto a live TV show as well?
Yeah. It's not going to happen. Ever,
No.
I think.
No, and I don't think it needs to.
Is there going to be a Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic? As far as I've heard, yes, after Houston. Everything seems to be pointing towards them having the finals in Philadelphia.
I think that would work. It's good to have it like spaced out a little bit, or at least leading towards a big event like that.
Mm-hmm. It's too much for them to do it on the road to WrestleMania, so they're not going to do it for NXT TakeOver New Orleans, and it's too close right now for them to have done it right after the Mae Young Classic.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking post Survivor Series, we'll start seeing the tournament pop up.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good time for it. Do you think they're going to go with the 16-team tournament that they did before, or they're going 18?
I think they're going 8.
Yeah, I don't think they have enough teams at the moment.
Yeah.
And
we've got we got the Ely brothers, we've got Heavy Machinery, Sanity, Undisputed Era,
the Street Profits.
Street Profits.
What those two teams? What was those two people that they beat recently? Those
it
was like a name like
yeah, they could throw them in there. They could throw in
TM61 should be back soon, right?
Yeah, TM61. They could always tag up random people. They could do like Andrade Almas and somebody again, or they could do like we got Tino Sabatelli and Riddick Moss. They're another tag team.
Authors of Pain are still there.
Authors of Pain are still there. So we're at 9 teams right now if we count that random tag team, which they could always do that because they can lose.
I'm sure they could get 16 teams if they really wanted to, especially by putting like just random people together or just bringing in like the headbangers for one night or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they could do it, but it depends on how much time they have to cram in things and stuff too, and whether or not the tag titles are in the line in different situations like that.
The only thing I know for certain is if they do have a Dusty Rhodes Tag Classic, then Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly are going to win it.
I would assume so, yeah. He says, I know it's early, but who would you have inducted into the Hall of Fame? I have no idea, but I would say with New Orleans, wouldn't be a bad idea for The Rock to be the headliner.
I think he's probably got an open invitation and he'll decide. He's almost deciding when he wants to go in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
New Orleans, like if he is retired, I think it might be a good place for the Undertaker to go in. Just because that was the scene of his streak ending. Like come full circle. Maybe someone like Batista. Seems like it'd be a good opportunity for him as well, because again, that's the last time he wrestled in WrestleMania as well, was New Orleans. In terms of like just other people, I mean, I'm always waiting for the British Bulldog or Owen Hart to go into the Hall of Fame.
Definitely.
But
go Sid.
Oh, Sid would be good.
That'd be great.
I've just to hear his speech afterwards.
Yeah, just have him cut a promo. That'd be awesome.
Mm.
There's so many people that can go into the Hall of Fame. It's like it's insane when you start, especially when you start factoring in like celebrities that can go into the celebrity wing and all the women's wrestlers that haven't been in yet, like Victoria and stuff. Like there's
Sable.
So many. Yeah. Sable, yeah, she definitely should go in there at some point.
I mean, maybe it would be good to have someone like Paul Heyman go in at this point.
He definitely should go in.
Oh yeah, but I'm wondering whether he's like saying that he shouldn't go in at this point. It's probably down to him almost at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, Bischoff isn't in the Hall of Fame yet, is he?
Nope. He should definitely go in too. Ted
Yeah.
Turner's money. I think
Okay.
if I could pick, I think I'd go with The Rock for the headliner this year. But
I think,
again, it's up to him, kind of.
yeah, I think if you can get the Rock to come in for the Hall of Fame, then you should definitely do that as soon as possible.
Here's another question that I don't think we've gotten before: frozen yogurt or ice cream? 100% soft serve ice cream is the best.
Yes, I completely agree. I've never been a big yogurt person, so always ice cream.
Yeah. What do you think about this Velveteen Dream and Aleister Black matchup? Very weird and fucking hilarious. I loved the reaction that the crowd had to that little, like, almost kiss thing. I was fucking cracking up.
No, I actually like legitimately love this feud. Like just the starting point of it. I hated the fact that they had Aleister Black talk because I thought they were doing a nice thing with like this Mystique with him. It was just someone that doesn't talk but just kicks people's heads off. So I didn't like that side of things. But Patrick Clark, Velveteen Dream, he's such a bizarre character, but you can see he's 100% committed to it, which means it's going to work.
He's like the new Goldust.
Yeah, and it works. It works really well. I could see him in that character, like making an impact on the main roster.
It's so weird too. Like if you haven't seen the segment yet, go back and check it out where he does that little thing where he's like he almost kisses him. The crowd erupts. They're just kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I just think like the actual promo segment, they were kind of like just in and out almost. They weren't really caring. And then Aleister Black sits down and then he goes towards him and the crowd just go, oh, holy shit, they're going to kiss. And then it's just
And then the people that are very pro Jinder Mahal are like, I don't like this shit.
Yeah. Fucking black guy and he's gay as well.
Right, yeah. Those people are just like, oh, I'm not watching. That's it. I'm unsubscribing from the network.
Yeah. I'm taking my gun. I'm going.
It's bad enough he's called Aleister Black. Like that kind of thing. Oh, man. 3 more questions here before we're done. Do you play the WWE 2K game? Nope. Nope. I haven't played more than a couple minutes of it.
I spend the however many dollars or pounds it is every year on the game, and it very rarely improves dramatically. But I'm kind of like in that loop now, and I can't break myself from it.
Are you more of a veggie or fruit person?
Who's he calling a fruit?
Well, my last name's Mango, so I'm assuming me.
Yeah. I prefer vegetables. I mean, it depends. Like, certain fruits I like I'm okay with apples and bananas, strawberries, grapes. But actually, like more of like the crunchy vegetables and stuff like that works for me.
Totally depends on my mood. You tell me, like, I've got steak and a baked potato and green beans in front of me or something like that, I'll be like, yeah, I'm totally going to attack those green beans while I'm at it. Especially if it's like green bean casserole for like I hate Thanksgiving dinner. A lot of people love it. I end up eating predominantly like rolls and stuff. Like, so when one of the things that we tend to have a lot is green bean casserole, and I'll eat a lot of that because that's pretty good. But generally speaking, if it like I'm not gonna like either of them unless I'm in the mood for it. And if I really am in the mood for fruit, I'll enjoy it more than how much I'll be in the mood for a vegetable. Like,
yeah,
if I really want pineapple and I get fresh pineapple, it's really good. Even if I'm really in the mood to eat like corn on the cob, tends to never be that good. It's always just like, yeah, I got that corn and it was good. Never just like, oh man, this is some fucking good corn. Like, you know, like.
Yeah, I can understand. It's almost like with a fruit, you could just be eating the fruit, whereas it's very rare that you're just eating a vegetable on its own.
Yeah, I could sometimes just be like, I really want an orange. But I'm never going to be like, I really just want a plate of peas. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah. Aren't you glad I didn't say banana?
especially since it's Bonan or the accent that came through.
Yeah, the accent's really. I can't help it. It's how I was born.
I always love my favorite comedy of all time is Robin Hood Men in Tights, and the sheriff of Nottingham or Rottingham in the movie. When he says he points to the table and he's like, "We've got like dates and bananas and whatever," and I was always just kind of like, "Why the fuck is he saying it like that?" It was just like the disconnect of me with the British accent versus my typical New Jersey accent. It was just like he's saying banana weird, like, you know. And then I've got my niece says banana, and I'm like, where the hell did you pick that up? I don't say banana. Like, it's like the pajamas type of thing, you know. But,
yeah. Well, that's why we have like bananas in pajamas, and people call them bananas in pajamas or something.
Right? Yeah. And I just go, oh, that fucking show. Hate it.
Yeah, no, you lose a few brain cells watching that show.
I guarantee. Same thing with like Barney and all that other kind of stuff. Nah. I used to shut off Sesame Street when I was a kid, and my sister would watch it. My sister is 4 years older than I am, and I used to shut it off and be like, "Nah, this is garbage."
You'd literally like get more out of just staring at a banana for 30 minutes.
Probably. I wanted to watch RoboCop and Terminator instead, so it goes
Yeah.
to show what type of kid I was. Like a 3-year-old, and I'm like, "Can we watch the thing about like the post-apocalyptic shit instead?"
Yeah, well adjusted.
Yeah,
you knew what was coming.
I've only killed 5 people.
Yeah.
And our last question for today: will we get that bragging rights Survivor Series matchup again? I sure hope so, because that if they're not going to do that for Survivor Series, when the fuck else are they going to do it? You know?
I mean, I don't know where they're going. I mean, yeah, if they are going to do it, it'll have to be a Survivor Series. I just don't know where they're going with this stuff at the moment. Like, part of me is thinking they're going to do some sort of like Team Kevin Owens versus Team Shane McMahon match. So that makes you think that they're just going to go back to the traditional way of doing the Survivor Series stuff, where there's some Raw matches and there's some SmackDown matches. But I do like the idea that Survivor Series does become like the new bragging rights arena, because it adds a bit of interest back into Survivor Series.
I'm hoping that what we get this year, and I think it makes sense if Brock Lesnar's not going to defend the Universal title. I'm hoping we get a WWE title match, Team SmackDown versus Team Raw, 3-way kind of thing like they did last year, where it's the tag teams against the tag teams, the women against the women, and the men against the men. And then you fill in anything else that you need to fill in with, depending on how much you need to add into the card. Like a cruiserweight title match, I think is unnecessary.
Yeah.
And maybe some other kind of pre-show thing. But I think that you've got more than enough people that can work on all those sides and still have a couple other matches. So say Daniel Bryan and Kurt Angle go, hey, Survivor Series is coming up. You want to do the typical Raw versus SmackDown thing? Cool. Then they do, like, say, Charlotte and Becky, Naomi, Natalya and Paige, if she's back, against Sasha, Bayley, Alexa, Nia, and Asuka, or no, maybe not Asuka. Asuka can be doing something else. And Emma. And then Team SmackDown wins. Asuka has a separate match, maybe, or something like that. Or maybe, actually, no. No, what they need to do is they need to have Asuka on Team Raw, and Asuka needs to be the sole survivor.
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen. Now that I'm thinking about that.
Exactly.
Tag teams, obviously you've got the New Day, the Usos, Breezango, Hype Bros.
Can you fill all of these ones, actually? It's almost like it becomes difficult to actually fill both sides with the tag teams.
I think you could, because you got those, and then you got Gable and Benjamin. And
or the Ascension.
Yeah, or the Ascension if you need somebody that gets... They just get like eliminated real quick. On Raw, you've got the Good Brothers, Ambrose and Rollins, Cesaro and Sheamus, because he'll be ready to go by then. Slater and Rhino, and
you could do Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews.
Titus and Apollo. You couldn't do Hardy Boys, and you couldn't do Revival, but there's another tag team, isn't there?
No, that's it, I think. Oh, maybe the Miztourage.
Oh, the Miztourage, yeah. And the Miztourage. Yeah. So you got the teams for there. And then for Team Raw and Team SmackDown normally, you got a whole slew of people.
Yeah.
You got, Nakamura.
Who'd you choose? Yeah. I was going to ask who you choose.
I think I'd probably, well, it depends on who would be challenging for the titles and stuff, but I think on a whim, I'd probably go with Roman Reigns being the head of Team Raw, with maybe Samoa Joe if he's able to return, but maybe not. I
Joe
think
should be back by then.
Finn Balor, I think, is a good choice for Team Raw. What else we got? Maybe The Miz if he can play along. Maybe. Well, you need Jason Jordan. That's a guarantee.
Yeah.
And then maybe like Elias or something like that. And then for maybe Bray Wyatt. I don't know. But I'd like to see Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt take place instead, because that way Braun Strowman doesn't have to get either eliminated or be the sole survivor. So you go with that, and then SmackDown, you've got a combination of Styles, Corbin, Ziggler, Rude, Nakamura, Kanellis, maybe. I'd rather see him go down to SmackDown or go down to NXT. You got Rusev, you got Orton, you got so many. Sami Zayn, you could pick from. Ty Dillinger, I think, could be a definite person. There's a lot of people on SmackDown, actually.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of people that would fit into that team. Actually, more so than Raw, which is weird because Raw seems to be the better show.
Yeah, I think that they have to do it at Survivor Series again.
Yeah.
They should make a case going forward. They should always do it.
Yeah, it makes Survivor Series special again. It's the one place where you're actually going to see Raw and SmackDown superstars fighting each other.
Yeah. I'd even go so far as to say that they should do, like, I mean, they can't do it with Lesnar not showing up, but I'd like to see them just go full on bragging rights and have, like, the Intercontinental Champion versus the United States Champion.
Yeah.
And, you know, the Universal Champion versus the WWE Champion. Like, just go for it. The Raw Women's Champion against the SmackDown Women's Champion. Go along with that kind of a thing. And then, if you want to do it that way, and then you don't have enough room to be able to do all of the Survivor Series matches, you do all the champions against each other, and then you do one big Team Raw versus Team SmackDown.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Hire me, WWE. I promise I won't write racist promos for you. You'll get around that issue.
They don't want to hire you now.
All right, so that's your September mailbag. Thanks for sending these questions in, everybody. It's another 2-hour edition almost. Yeah. Long. Might have to start trimming them down in the future. But either way, as long as you send in the questions, we will try to answer as many of them as we can. So if you did not get a chance to send in your questions for September, start sending in your questions for October. We'll be doing them after TLC. Because we got the next thing that we're going to be doing is going to be the Hell in a Cell predictions. After that, I've already recorded a couple Sporkle quizzes, so those will be up for that week because I'm not going to be here, so it's going to be harder for me to do stuff. Then we've got right into TLC predictions and the post show and all that other stuff for that. Then we'll be doing the mailbag for October. So you've got a couple of weeks, but start sending in them now if you can think of them, especially if they're ones that are like kind of not specific to the news, like the frozen yogurt or ice cream type of thing. And, you know, we can always answer them when we get around to them. But if you want to be aware of when we do post these things, follow us on the different social media accounts at Smark Out Moment, like Facebook and Twitter. Obviously, keep checking out smarkoutmoment.com itself. And for the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button and check off the notifications when you ring that bell, and you will be aware of any of the new videos that get posted like that. Callum, you can follow him over on Twitter at
Wikimeister14. And obviously, just like as Tony says, check out Smark Out Moment with all the weekly articles coming out. We've got the Triple Threats, Power Rankings, Women's Wrestling Weekly, all that great stuff. All the stuff that you love.
all the stuff.
All
And
the
you
stuff.
have to like it all, or else I'll be mad at you.
I mean, you can dislike it, but you have to read it.
Yeah. You have to like it and share it. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, even if you don't like it, share it.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't like it, someone will like it.
Yeah, see, that's the optimistic world that we live in.
Yeah.
Alrighty, everybody. Thanks for listening. Make sure you drop your comments below and tell us your answers to these questions, anything you want to submit your answers to, and we will see you next time. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.